From swords and sandals to lightsabers and Death Stars, this is Rediscovering Classics. Welcome back to Rediscovering Classics. I am your host, Roger Dodger. And since we are in the summer of sci-fi, I would like to take a moment to talk about a film. From 1979, let's talk about Time After Time. Now, I selected this film for a couple reasons. Number one, it is the earliest film I can recall watching that heavily involved time travel, or at least the idea of time travel. And I recently rewatched it, and it is still such a fun movie. And it's one of those rare movies that doesn't pigeonhole itself into sci-fi territory. Once the time machine is used, it completely no longer becomes a science fiction film. It becomes a cat and mouse, fish out of water film. And I really love that about the movie, because in a lot of time travel movies, the time travel device itself is the plot device. It is, we have to fix the time machine, we have to find the time machine, we have to find a part for the time machine. It uses the time machine as a mechanism, not as the device. The device is a manhunt between H.G. Wells, played by Malcolm McDowell, and Jack the Ripper, played by David Warner, who are two phenomenal actors. And then Mary Steenburgen from Back to the Future Part 3 plays the love interest whom H.G. Wells begins a romantic relationship with. And this film is beautifully directed and very well acted. There's little bits of humor, but I particularly love the dialogue between H.G. Wells and John Stevenson, aka Jack the Ripper. Because every time they have dialogue with one another, the characters seem like they've known each other for a long time. It's very familiar dialogue. And it's a film that I would recommend to everybody, not just fans of sci-fi, and that is why I think it is a great gateway sci-fi movie. Because if you look at science fiction and you go, that's not for me, that's Star Wars, that's Star Trek, it doesn't always have to be. And I think so many people think that because it's science fiction, it has to be aliens and machines and, this scientific jargon and that scientific jargon. And this film doesn't do that. If anything, this film is more of a suspense thriller than a science fiction movie. And that's something we're going to be talking about a lot these next 2 or 3 months on the channel, is looking at films that, while you can call them sci-fi, there's more to them. Because that's what the channel is about. The channel is about me sitting here and discussing with you guys these films that maybe got swept under the rug, or maybe aren't as well known or as popular, and me bringing them to your attention so you don't pigeonhole or say, because this is this genre, I'm not going to like it because I don't like this genre. And so this is one that I can definitely say fits outside of that sci-fi category. So the film was directed by Nicholas Meyer, who went on to direct Star Trek 2, 3, and 4, I do believe. I know for a fact that he directed 2. I'll have to fact check, or you guys can let me know in the comments if I'm correct and he did 3 and 4 as well. But I know for a fact he did 2, which is probably the best Star Trek film. So, I just wanted to take some time and discuss this film with you because I recently watched and it was in my head, and there are a lot of beautiful shots. There's the cab ride where you see the hills of San Francisco. There is the time travel effect itself is really good. Like I said, the acting from Malcolm McDowell and David Warner playing off each other specifically is just so amazing, and they have such good chemistry here, bouncing off each other. But I would definitely give this movie probably a solid 8 out of 10, and I definitely recommend it for anybody who's not sure about science fiction or who doesn't believe that science fiction is for them. Sticking with the science fiction theme, the next film I'd like to discuss with you guys is Planet of the Apes. I rewatched this one just last night, and again, if you take out the time travel aspect, the apes are very science fiction. The setting is very science fiction. But the film itself is more of a satire, or more of a cautionary tale. And it was written by Rod Serling, who wrote and hosted and created The Twilight Zone. And it's got that Twilight Zone feel to it. And again, you don't meet the apes for the first half hour of the movie, and that is the best half hour of science fiction movie making ever. The spaceship crash lands. There are these 3 astronauts that are wandering around, and the movie never gives you a sigh of relief. It feels very tense due to the score, to the direction. It feels tense, it feels eerie. It feels very Last Man on Earth. And this is very unsettling. And then, after that first half hour, Charlton Heston, who plays the lead astronaut, is taken captive, and humans in this evolved society aren't meant to speak. They're meant to be slaves or target practice. And so you get this really nice satire on racism, on science versus evolution, on religion to a degree, and it's all told in the backdrop of this science fiction movie. The makeup in it is amazing, and the performances are all fantastic. A lot of memorable lines, and a very memorable ending that I'm not going to spoil spoil for those of you who haven't seen it. But if you haven't seen it, definitely give it a go. And the advice I give everybody on the Planet of the Apes films are to always watch the first one. You have to watch the second one, but I will say it is one of the weaker of the original 5. Watch Escape, watch Conquest, and then there's Battle for the Planet of the Apes, which I personally have seen all the way through one time because it's just so long and it feels like it takes forever to get anywhere within the story. So, but as far as the first one goes, Planet of the Apes is a fantastic film to watch and to enjoy. And again, if you're not sure about sci-fi, it gives you so many other things where, again, the science fiction aspect of it is very minimal. So I would say definitely check out Planet of the Apes. And if I were to rate Planet of the Apes, I believe I would be probably a 9 out of 10. Because it does have flaws. There are a couple flaws. But for that slow burning 30 minutes where you're not really sure what's going on in the film, only to become more confused later and still not know what exactly is going on in the film, it is some of the best science fiction filmmaking out there. So that is all I have for you this week. The science fiction episodes are going to be a little different because these are films that I know really well. And like I said, I'm hoping to discuss maybe 2 for the 15 minutes instead of 3, so that I can really go in and say, hey, this is why it's different as a science fiction film. And this is why, if you're weary of science fiction, maybe you should check this one out. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Rediscovering Classics. Be sure to check out Time After Time and Planet of the Apes wherever you get your videos. This is Roger Dodger signing off. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell, because as we classic film fans know, every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings. So, until next time, rediscover something classic. Stop.